Do I have a motion to reconvene in open session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
The board is now in open session. Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution certifying the closed session?
Now therefore be it resolved that the school board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board.
Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the first student matter?
In case number 2023-24/8, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next student matter?
In case number 2023-24/9, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next student matter?
In case number 2023-24/10, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the remaining student matters?
In case number 2023-24/12RE and 2023-24/13RE, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the first personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/20-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes, Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/21-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/22-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/23-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/24-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/25-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/26-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder. Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/27-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/28-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/29-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/31-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/32-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/33-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/34-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/01-PH, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the motion carries. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the November 14th, 2023 School Board Business Meeting to order. Before we begin the meeting this evening, I would like to thank everyone for attending and remind the audience that comments to this board may only be made at the podium during the public comment period. Comments from the audience are prohibited and are in violation of Section 18.2-415 of the Code of Virginia, Disorderly Conduct in Public Places, and School Board Policy 6141. I appreciate everyone's patience and understanding so that we can conduct the business meeting in an orderly fashion. We will now have invocation by Mr. Harder, followed by flag salute led by Mrs. Haynes.
Let us pray. We are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes to us, each day's duties and each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen.
For tonight, our consent agenda includes agenda adoption, approval of the minutes, October 10th, 2023 work session, October 10th, 2023 business meeting, memo number 145-23, recommended personnel actions, memo number 146-23, FY 2024 acceptance of new grants, memo number 147-23, FY '24 grant changes. Memo number 148-23, approval of program of studies. Memo number 149-23, approval of the class of 2024 graduation schedule. Memo number 150-23, approval of revisions to the School Health Advisory Board bylaws. Memo number 151-23, appointment of members to school board advisory committees. Memo number 160-23, approval of revisions to the Gifted Education Advisory Committee bylaws. And memo number 163-23, award of contracts recommendations for temporary nursing services. Are there any additions or corrections to the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, there are no additions or corrections to the consent agenda.
Actually, I would like to make a statement to everyone real quick that earlier today at our work session, we heard a presentation about extending the school day for all schools. I know we have many people who feel very strongly about this and want to share that we have asked staff to explore other options for increasing seat time without the current day, school day schedule being extended, being extended. And I would also like to, at this moment, pull from our discussion agenda memo number 162-23. Okay. Are there any other requests from a school board member to separate an item from the consent agenda or discussion and individual action? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Consent agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron,
Aye.
Debbie Bailey,
Aye.
Ryan Harder,
Aye.
Catherine Haynes,
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Next, we have awards and recognitions. Mr. Smith.
If I could ask Janine Delia to come forward this time. Right there. Congratulations to Janine Delia for winning a James Changer Award from the James River Association in recognition of her exceptional efforts to protect the James River and connect people to it. As a school systems secondary science specialist, Janine supports environmental education through classroom lessons, coordinating paddle trips for high schools, and overseeing a grant that covers watershed education for 3 middle schools. Please join me in congratulating Janine.
So Janine, I was really excited by your project. I don't know if you know that, but this board began a committee called the Environmental Stewardship Committee. And one of our earlier members wanted to see a program like you just mentioned in all of our schools. So the fact that you started one, and I look forward to one day, supported one, and hopefully with more grants. So I'd love for you to talk to the ESAC lead. Maybe you can talk grants and stuff. So thank you so much. Thank you. And tell me, please, your favorite thing about this program.
We supported some of the Title I schools and some of the populations that might not have been able to get on a canoe before, and they were telling the teachers, like, I've never been on the water before, I'm very nervous about it, and they said they would go back. So getting a kid on the river and experiencing it is a joy.
If I could ask our school PR reps to come forward this time. There's a lot of joy in sharing good stories, and there are a lot of good stories to share in Chesterfield County Public Schools. The Creative and Media Services Department works to spread good news in multiple ways, including websites, video, social media, newsletters, publication, and the news media. Many of the great stories shared from each of our 67 schools start with that school's PR rep. What's a PR rep, you may ask? They are members of Team Chesterfield in each school who volunteer to communicate the innovative work, successes, and other good news taking place every day. PR reps are at the center of communication efforts as Chesterfield County Public Schools works to make the positive so loud that the negative becomes almost impossible to hear. Please join me in congratulating our school PR reps.
I just want to thank you for what you do each and every day. Not only do you work in schools and have a very difficult job, but you take on an additional task to let the world know how amazing Chesterfield County schools are. We have 64,000 students, and does every child have a perfect day every day? No. And do we have some mistakes or bumps along the way? Of course, but it's so nice to hear the wonderful, wonderful things that we do in our schools, because there are plenty and there are lots of successes. And I just want to thank you for taking on the task of helping enlighten the community about all the wonderful things that go on within our school system. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
At this time, if I could ask our Denham Drive schools to come forward, as well as our partners at Goodwill.
Yep, there you go. Perfect. Hi. Oh, my.
The annual Denham Drive is a partnership among Goodwill, the Chesterfield County Council PTAs, and Chesterfield County Public Schools that turns genes into jobs while helping schools. Working to make a difference, schools from across the district collected and donated 4,202 pieces of used denim clothing, which Goodwill will repurpose for use by Central Virginia residents. That's a 56% increase from the 2,688 pieces donated in 2022. As an incentive to participate in the annual community support program, the 9 school PTAs that collect the most denim win cash prizes, $1,000 for first place, $750 for second place, and $500 for third place. Representatives of Goodwill are here tonight, along with representatives of our first place schools. Here are the top schools in the 2023 Denham Drive. Elementary schools, first place, Old 100 Elementary, 480 pieces. Second place, Grange Hall Elementary. Third place, Swift Creek Elementary. Congratulations, Old 100 Elementary. For our middle schools, in first place, Tomahawk Creek Middle with 326 pieces. Second place, Midlothian, and third place, Robius. Congratulations, Tomahawk Creek. And our high schools, in first place, Midlothian High School with 593 pieces. In second place, Cosby High School. And in third place, Manchester High School. Congratulations, Midlothian High School.
Congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much to your PTAs for coordinating. And like I said, thank you so much. It's not a party until the big checks get here. So thank you to Goodwill. And thank you for supporting our schools. All right, so last year I asked you guys what jeans were popular when you were in high school. So I'm gonna ask. It's easier this year. Okay. Skinny jeans, flared, or denim jacket, or head to toe?
Head to toe.
I love it.
Head to toe.
Just a full tuxedo. I like it. Okay. No. Like today. What are you gonna? Head to toe, right?
Head to toe, for sure.
Sure. And thanks again. So you're a PTA?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for your help. Here you go, Rebecca. That's for you.
Skinny jeans?
Skinny jeans. Good call.
Jean jacket, definitely, jean jacket. Dress it up, dress it down.
You can do anything, right?
Definitely head to toe during the denim drive.
I love it. The head-to-toe denim drive, you're just in it. You're in it to win it.
My high schooler would tell me that skinny jeans are out, so I would have to go with flare.
Yeah, that's, your high schooler's wrong. Your high schooler's wrong. Well, thank you so much to you all for your wonderful enthusiasm for this project, and thank you again to Goodwill for your support. Yes, hold on.
On behalf of Goodwill Central and Coastal Virginia, I would like to thank Chesterfield County Public Schools for continued partnership, and I would like to say that the Denim Drive is one of the most successful ones that we've had over the course of the years, and one of the most exciting things that I look forward to around this time of the year. I will say this year, the donors and the representatives for each schools, they were a little bit more relaxed, and some came out in the rain on the first day. It was raining real hard, but everybody had a smile. We were excited to take the denim, and it ended up being a very good year, and I said thank you to that. Also, our second one is our book collections that we have with Chesterfield County Public Schools. And I'm not sure that everyone knows that the librarians, educators, they are allowed to come to our warehouse at 6301 and collect books to take back to the schools. And they are allowed to take as many as they can carry. So from the start of the program, I want to say Chesterfield started in 2018. You guys have collected over 64,000 books that have been brought back to the schools to give out to the kids. So with that, I say thank you for everything, and I'm here whenever. Continue. Now, who do we give the big bucks to?
I think you give those to the principal. I mean, I can hold them if you want. Thank you again to Goodwill. Congratulations, Sean. Well done.
At this time, if I could ask our Learning with You participants to come forward.
Thank you.
Learning with You is designed to help members of the multicultural community connect with Chesterfield County Public Schools. The latest round of this free program took place this fall, offering participants information about the school division, including resources available for students and families, while helping CCPS leaders connect with and learn more about multicultural communities. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Juan Santacoloma.
Okay, guys, good evening and thank you for being with us. And this is the list of the people, the participants who graduate today. Elizabeth Castellanos Romero. Francisca Escobar Vivanco. Iris Yajaira Hill. Lupe Mares MacLeod. Areli Lisette Sánchez Mar. Sandra Toledo, yes. Sandra Toledo. Chenny Méndez Laya. Elizabeth Socrum. Kelly Amaya de Cruz. Manuel Rodríguez. Emilia Valdez. Jaded Cruz Amaya. Who's that again? Mr. Yes. He's not here. So, and we miss two ladies who were not able to attend today. Guys, thank you so much for attending Learning with You. And remember, everything you learn during the academy is to share with our community. Appreciate it.
I would just like to take a second to thank Juan and Amelia for really standing this program up and the outreach in our community to make sure that all of our community members are made aware of what's going on in our school system and where they can go to find support. So if we can we give a round of applause to Amelia and also to Juan? And I know Amelia wants to say a few words, so I'll let her take over.
And in that same vein, we are fortunate enough to be able to host this program twice a year and to have gone through this program with, we are now at 120 individuals that have participated in this program over the last 3 years. But this could not be done without those who, in our school division who present and participate. And I'm sitting and looking at many of you who spend your evenings doing that. So if you're in the audience and you have participated as a presenter in Learning with You, I'm looking at our boss here, Mr. Sean Smith, but then a slew of other folks, please stand and be recognized because it really is such a valuable program. We really appreciate that. And this time, and I know that I'm not supposed to be talking, but Juan reached out to the 120 participants and said, give me some feedback, share what this program meant to you. And so, and we really want to thank our board for this support. And so Cheney Mendez wrote the most beautiful thing that really captured that. And so we actually had our communications team prepare it. And it was just lovely. And so I just wanted to share this with you, our board members, for providing the support for programming like this that really makes a difference. And so if you guys would like to pass the microphone around.
Sure. You want me to pass it around to the board members or pass it around up here? All right. If you'd like to say something, I'll give you the microphone. If not, you could just pass it to the next person, but I'll start it right here.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much to be here. It's a pleasure for me. This moment is amazing because I had never imagined to be with you. And I would like to say thank you so much, everyone, because that you do for youth in your schools is fantastic for our children. I would like to say a lot of things, however, my time is not enough. Just, I want to say thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Juan Santa Coloma. Thank you, all teachers, all educations in the school. I love you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Juan. Thank you. This is a very good effort and a good tool for shared with our Hispanic community. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? No? Okay. All right. Well, I figured I'd ask. Well, thank you so much for coming out this evening and congratulations. You want me to read it out loud? We abandon our land, belongings, and homes. We're not just a crowd of people, we are more. We're human beings, professionals, people who have a lot to contribute to society, economically, intellectually, and emotionally. We are resilient people who, for some reason, did not have the opportunity to contribute to our own countries, but we are doing it here. And I can only thank CCPS for making us feel welcome, valued, respected, and included in our beautiful country. Thank you so much. Really do. Thank you.
If I could ask Laura Early to come forward this time. National School Psychology Week was November 6th through 10th. School psychologists support student learning and mental and behavioral health, promote positive and inclusive school climates, serve on school safety and critical incident teams, and collaborate with families, teachers, and administrators to improve student outcomes. Tonight, the school board has an opportunity to adopt a resolution recognizing National School Psychology Week and honoring our district's 33 full-time school psychologists, 2 part-time school psychologists, and the coordinator of psychological and diagnostic services. Madam Clerk.
For our next recognition, I'd like to, we have invited Ms. Early up and her team to join Ms. Haynes in front of the dais. So Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution recognizing November 6th through 10th, 2023 as School Psychology Week.
Recognizing November 6th through 10th, 2023 as School Psychology Week. Whereas children and youth learn best when they are healthy, supported, and receiving an education that enables them to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. And whereas schools can more effectively ensure that all students are able to learn when they meet the needs of the whole child and provide integrated, multi-tiered supports. And whereas children's mental health is directly linked to their learning and development, and the learning environment provides an optimal context to promote good mental health through connectedness within the school and community. And whereas sound psychological principles are integral to instruction and learning, school safety, social and emotional development, prevention, early intervention, and support of culturally diverse student populations. And whereas school psychology has more than 60 years of well-established, widely recognized, and highly effective practice and standards that are clearly articulated in the National Association of School Psychologists Model for Comprehensive and Integrated School Psychological Services, and whereas school psychologists are specially trained to foster and deliver in the school and community a continuum of mental health services and academic supports that lower barriers to teaching and learning. And whereas Chesterfield County Public Schools recognizes the vital role that our 35 dedicated school psychologists play in the personal and academic development of our community's children. And whereas school psychologists are trained to assess student and school-based barriers to learning and individual strengths, use data-based decision-making, implement research-driven prevention and intervention strategies, and evaluate outcomes and improve accountability. And whereas school psychologists help children thrive by nurturing their individual strengths across both personal and academic endeavors. Now therefore be it resolved that the Chesterfield County School Board hereby proclaims November 6th through 10th, 2023 as School Psychology Week in Chesterfield County Public Schools and commends observance to all of our citizens.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Board members, may I have a motion to adopt the resolution as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Board members, is there any discussion?
Are there any other school psychologists to join us at the dais in the audience tonight? That's my discussion point.
No. There has been a motion. I think so. There's been a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call roll on the motion.
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
And Ann Coker.
Aye. The resolution has been adopted.
So thank you so much. We really wanted to give you a ratio of 1 to 500 instead of 1 to 1,778, but this is a first step to get there.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's really such an honor to lead the group of school psychologists that we have in Chesterfield County, and we look forward to continuing to work with all students. And thank you so much for this honor. I'm very honored to accept it on their behalf. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have recognition of outstanding driver performance. Dr. Fry.
Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Daugherty, and Mr. Roberts, it's my pleasure this evening to present to you our Drivers of the Month. Providing safe transportation for students to and from school every day is essential to instruction, and our Chesterfield County Public School bus drivers go above and beyond to accomplish this mission every day. Although often an unsung hero to many of our students, their bus driver is a role model for patience, hard work, kindness, and dedication. CCPS bus drivers are to be commended for the commitment to their schools and families which they serve. There are many bus drivers who could be recognized this month, but each transportation area manager had to make the tough decision of selecting a single bus driver who exemplified excellence and dedication to represent their area. We'd like to recognize and honor the following drivers. Curtis Jackson, Area 1, Bus 790, 6 years of service.
You're going to stand up there for a minute.
Mr. Curtis always comes to work with a smile on his face and a positive attitude. His goal is to connect with and positively impact his students on a daily basis. Thank you. Jim Swayer, Area 2, Bus 727, 13 years of service. Jim says he enjoys driving, interacting with the kids, and keeping them safe. Marcia Muldoon, Area 3, Bus 582, 3 months of service. Marcia says she has met new friends and established relationships with the students and school administration she works with. Jocelyn Ginyard, Area 4, Bus 843, 5 years of service. Jocelyn says she loves being a school bus driver because she likes being able to connect with the students and make a difference in children's lives. She loves that what she does matters. Leslie Blanks, Area 5, Bus 89, 1 year of service. Award being accepted by her area manager, Pam Jeffer. Leslie says that she looks forward to going to work every day, and there's no better way to start the day than by seeing her students' smiling faces.
Congratulations, and I'm honored to stand here and tell you that you are the best of the best and that we are thrilled to be able to recognize you as part of our transportation team and to recognize the significant impact you make on a daily basis with our students. Quite often as a teacher of 34 years in the classroom, I could tell the minute they walked in the door what kind of attitude was coming in with them, and it starts with y'all. You guys set the tone for the day, and then you also end the day going home to the moms and dads out there. And so you guys truly are a critical, critical part of our school system, and thank you so much for everything that you do for us. Thank you.
Next, we have recognition of outstanding food service employees. Mr. Dunbrack.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Doherty, thank you as always for the opportunity to recognize some of our outstanding food nutrition services team members. As we look ahead towards Thanksgiving next week, as my mother would say, it's always important to take a step back and remember what we're thankful for. For the Food Nutrition Services Department, some of those things include the completion of the renovations at our food distribution facility, which are scheduled to be completed this week. Just over 2 million meals served through the end of October, which represents a 14% increase over last year's figures. And most importantly, the amazing individuals who dedicate their time and efforts to making sure that the students in Chesterfield County have a breakfast and lunch ready for them when they're hungry. We're very unfortunate to have so much to be thankful for here. We have 2 nominees that were unable to join us this evening. First, we have Ms. Willie Joyner. Ms. Joyner is a food service associate at Clover Hill High School and has been with Chesterfield County Public Schools for 19 years and says that she enjoys working in the cafeteria and seeing the smiling faces of the students when we serve them a great meal. The compliments and thank yous are very welcomed and encourage me to stay at CCPS even longer. Also unable to join us this evening, Lisa Mayfield. Ms. Mayfield is our cafeteria manager at the Chesterfield Career and Technical Center at Courthouse. She's been with Chesterfield County Public Schools for 10 years and says, my journey as a lunch lady began as a young mom of 2. Becoming a lunch lady was the perfect fit with young children. I was in food service in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee for 16 years before coming here. 26 years later, things have changed a bit, but one thing that never changes is the feeling you get when a student comes through your line. I still get nervous and excited every day. They are hungry and happy to see you, and being able to provide them with something nourishing to eat never fails to put a smile on my face. Definitely the best part of my day. All right. With us this evening, we have Tiara Kennedy. Ms. Kennedy is an assistant manager at Falling Creek Elementary School. She's been with Chesterfield County Public Schools for 3 months. She says, as a newcomer to the CCPS family, I love being part of this dedicated team with a common goal to feed the future with nutritious meals. The best part of my job is seeing the excitement on the students' faces during lunchtime as they come through the lines, happy to connect with their peers. It's so rewarding to be a piece of the puzzle that serves our district each day. Next, we have Sabina Wise. Ms. Wise is our assistant manager at Marguerite Christian Elementary School and has been with Chesterfield County Public Schools for 8 months. She says, the best part of my job is when I can put a smile on a kid's face. Lastly, we have Shannon Dean. Ms. Dean is our assistant manager at Winter Park Elementary School. She's been with Chesterfield County Public Schools for 1 year. She says, I love my job because of the people I work with and especially the children. I get to watch them grow and put a smile on my face, and they help me heal. I've learned so much from not knowing the temperature of food, and now I'm learning to put orders into the computer. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to you and to your, colleagues who are missing tonight, but we're very proud of the work that you do and very grateful for the work that you do. You know, like we said, there can't be enough friendly adult faces in the buildings for our students to connect with, and it's so meaningful, and I know you all spoke to it, you know, to make those connections with your students. I'll pass the mic along if you want to. Anybody interested in me passing the mic along, or I won't pass the mic. I don't want to take away your moment. Is anybody inspired? Has the Spirit moved you? Just thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have public comment. For this meeting, citizens were given the option of submitting their comments online or in person. Comments submitted via the online form were sent to the board prior to the start of tonight's meeting and will be included in full as an addendum to the meeting minutes. Madam Clerk, would you please announce this evening's in-person speakers?
Madam Chair, we have 30 speakers this evening. They are Catherine Clark, Stacy Smith, Ashton Crump, Lucretia Black, Michonne Ziebro, Eric Morehouse, Laura Cross, Todd Starkweather, Sean Stretchley, Laura Abbott, Nate Ball, Carol Steele, John Chandler, Monica Vaughn, Jerry Jones, Dominique Chatters, Christine Melendez, Ann Tatus, Rob Hamill, Edith Galladorm, Lisa Mansfield, Lindsay Daughtery, Laura Jones, John Quapix, Ross Haynes, Tracy Franson, Shannon McCauley, Kevin Nelson, Robert Eberth, and Mike Carabinos. Each speaker will have 4 minutes to address the board. There's a timer set up on top of the podium that will turn green when you begin speaking, yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining, and red when your time has expired. As a reminder, no personal belongings other than a cell phone and speaker notes are allowed at the podium. Please have your materials organized in a manner that as you arrive at the podium, you are prepared to start speaking. Please note that all comments equivalent to campaigning for any public office are in violation of the School Board Policy 1110 and are prohibited. I'm going to call the first 5 speakers. Again, they are Catherine Clark, Stacy Smith, Ashton Crump, Lucretia Black, and Michonne Ziobro. May we have Catherine Clark?
Do I wait for the green light?
Oh, no. You can go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Chesterfield County School Board and leadership team. First off, I want to thank you for serving Chesterfield County as a school board member. I imagine it's a heavy duty and one that does not come with the most positive of communications. I would like to acknowledge the challenge you all must face having to sort through the wants and needs of leadership, faculty, students, families, and community stakeholders when making all of your decisions. My name is Katie Clark, and I am grateful for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the faculty and staff at Elsie Byrd High School. Since 2005, I've held many titles in Chesterfield County, specifically at Elsie Byrd High School. Senior class president, 2005 graduate, chemistry teacher, senior class sponsor, and currently the engineering specialty center coordinator. I have supported the school through many different phases, and I am a Skyhawk to my absolute core. Over the past couple of weeks, we have appreciated the dialogue and promises of action to improve the security at Elsie Byrd. In an effort to continue the positive trajectory of our requests, I only wish to share the changes that have been discussed by leadership so that we are all transparent and on the same page. On October 25th, we requested the following 4 things. Number 1, a second full-time school resource officer. Number 2, a second full-time school security officer. Number 3, Chesterfield County Police will increase routinely daily scheduled patrols in the parking lots. And number 4, functioning cameras in the parking lots and school exterior. Next are the responses we received from CCPS leadership. In regards to the SRO, an additional floating SRO has been assigned as much as possible. They have committed to finding us a second SRO. In regards to the SSO, the job has been posted as of November 1st. In regards to the police presence, there has been an increase in police presence patrolling the parking lots. Finally, in regards to the cameras, installations at the elementary schools must come before modernizing any old camera systems at high schools, including Byrd. A new camera system is set to be installed June 2023. However, the existing broken cameras on the parking lot light poles will not be repaired or replaced. Our concerns. We've been told the additional SRO is a manpower issue. We fear we may not get a second SRO. We've been told the additional SSO is a manpower issue. We fear we may not get a second SSO. We've been told the increased police patrol has an expiration of 3 to 4 weeks. We fear we may not continue to get this additional support for the remainder of the school year. Without fixing our broken cameras on the light poles and only installing exterior cameras on the building, we fear we will never have the proper security support that's needed in our parking lots. My commentary and takeaway. When people in power decide something is important, it can get done. Despite the big picture reasons we are told as to why something cannot happen. We lacked bus drivers, so we paid them more and held recruitment events. We lacked substitutes, so we doubled their pay on high needs days and held recruitment events. Schools are overcrowded, so Chesterfield builds mega trailers. Teachers are leaving their jobs at hard to staff schools, so they're given a bonus each year to stay. These are all important needs that leaders found important. The safety of our students and staff is important. Please show Elsie Byrd, the faculty, staff, students, and families that we are important too. Just as important as any other high school in Chesterfield County that is newly built, recently renovated with new camera systems, multiple SROs, and multiple SSOs on staff. Our high school of one SRO, one SSO, and non-working cameras deserves better. Please understand our apprehension of trust and that these items will come to fruition in the immediate future, and accept this moment of grace. Over the next few weeks, we will be awaiting the permanent implementation of these solutions. I will leave you with the words of one of my colleagues, Mrs. Gibson. I understand that everyone has a different feeling of being safe. I do feel safe at Byrd, but I know that there are safety precautions that can be taken to better ensure our
Thank you,
safety.
Ms. Clark.
Let's lead to be proactive rather than reactive. Thank you.
Stacy Smith. Ashton Crump. Lucretia Black. Michonne Zebra.
Hello, my name is Michonne Zierbro, and I'm here as a concerned citizen of Chesterfield County concerning the lack of moral governing in our school systems here locally and nationwide. I have lived in Chesterfield County for over 25 years and have heard from my neighbors, my friends, my coworkers, and my family of their growing concerns of our deteriorating education system for our children here in Chesterfield that is affecting them emotionally, physically, and educationally. I am a proud aunt of 15 nieces and nephews and care a great deal of what they are being exposed to in our public schools. One of my nieces, who will remain anonymous in this discussion, is a bright young girl in which learning comes easy. She very much enjoyed school in her elementary years, made straight A's up until the 6th grade, where she started learning about some very confusing ideas. Ideas like maybe she wasn't okay as a girl and should consider becoming a boy. She was told not to talk about these sensitive issues at home, and by her middle school years became withdrawn, depressed, and started to self-harm herself by cutting and having thoughts of suicide. This young, bright little girl now hates going to school and has been filled with so much stress and anxiety to the point where she has needed psychiatric care and hospitalization from what she was being exposed to. It has been a nightmare, to say the least, and the fallout of this transgender indoctrination has affected her in every negative way. I recently heard our Attorney General, Jason Meyers, talk about the rape of a young girl by a transgender male that occurred in Loudoun County School bathroom that received nationwide attention. When he was investigating the case, he said the most disturbing fact that was discovered was when the rape was occurring, a school teacher witnessed it and stood by in the bathroom without intervening to help the young girl. When asked why this teacher just stood there, the teacher answered saying, "Well, it's not anything new to see 2 pairs of legs on the floor in a bathroom stall." That answer was as shocking as the rape itself. This is the type of chaos that is happening in our Virginia schools by not upholding the model policy, which is written that students shall use bathrooms that correspond to his or her sex, except to the extent that the federal law otherwise requires. The updated model policy states that the school division personnel shall refer to each student using only the pronouns appropriate to the sex appearing in the student's official record. That is, male pronouns for a student whose sex is male and female pronouns for a student whose sex is female. I believe and have experienced firsthand that by not enforcing all teachers in Chesterfield County to abide by this policy, you are putting children at risk for a mental health crisis by confusing them of their God-given biological sex, which can lead to thoughts of self-hatred, self-rejection, self-annihilation, depression, and ultimately suicidal thoughts or actions. This is not part of the education curriculum that parents in Chesterfield County expect or want. In fact, this is not education at all. It is sexually grooming children and indoctrinating them with confusing thoughts about who they were created to be by God, in which He tells us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made by Him. In the book of Genesis, it tells us that God created male and female, and He still continues to do so today. Teachers should only be affirming each child in who they are, and it is not their role to bring sexual confusion or introduce harmful ideas
Thank
to
you,
these
Ms.
innocent
Ziobro.
minds.
The next 5 speakers are Eric Morehouse, Laura Cross, Todd Starkweather, Sean Streshley, and Laura Abbott. May we have Eric Morehouse? Laura Cross? Todd Starkweather?
Good evening. My name is Todd Starkweather. I'm a high school teacher at Midlothian High, and I'm also the proud vice president of Chesterfield Education Association. Over the weekend and early this week, CEA solicited comments from teachers on the policy earlier reference that has been pulled from the agenda, referring to extending the school day 15 minutes. We applaud the board asking the schools to look for alternatives. CEA received about over 100 responses. I did want to read those, not in the spirit of complaining, but in the spirit of affirming the good decision that was made by this board earlier, to let the board and the school division hear the voices of teachers and listen to what I think are some excellent ideas from the teachers that shared responses with CEA. Comment 1. We are at a tier 3 school and already get out too late, especially with buses being late. 15 minutes isn't going to enrich our children any further. It's just going to add stress to families, teachers, and kids. Next comment. As a 12-year teacher, this proposal does not seem necessary as it will only add wasted minutes. Next comment. Many students already have lots of commitments outside of school or after school commitments. Their day would feel more than 15 minutes longer and possibly limit other opportunities before and after school. Pros could be more flexibility in the day and more instructional time, more time for class changes or lunch, but there is already plenty of time. Also keep in mind teachers are already very busy and have commitments outside of school with little time for leisure, education, or other work during the school year. Pay should increase to accommodate the time increase and the decreased amount of time at home or side jobs. Next comment. I do not support extending the school day for 15 minutes. As a high school teacher with 5 years of experience, I believe that the current 95-minute blocks at my high school are already too long, and students lose interest in this large amount of time. Adding 15 more minutes to the school day to show off for the VDOE will not improve instructional strategies or support students. This 15-minute extension is simply adding more filler time throughout the day and not giving teachers what they truly need, like smaller class sizes to improve instruction. If the 15 minutes must be added, then I would suggest giving students 5 more minutes at each of their lunches. In my 5 years of teaching, I have always witnessed students rushing to get food from the line or skipping the meal entirely, since they feel like they will not have enough time to eat during their lunch period. Next comment. I see no need to extend the school day by 15 minutes. CCPS staff are already working more hours than required on behalf of our students, and we are mentally and physically exhausted. Our students can participate in voluntary before and after school educational programs, and the parents and guardians can choose not to enroll them for one reason or another. Please reconsider this proposal. Next comment. I have been teaching at the secondary level for 25 years. Unlike some others, I have not noticed a huge impact on teens since changing the start times for high school. I have no problem with the longer day if it leads to more regular days off along the way. We start so early in the year that the potential for burnout by October is very real for both students and teachers. I encourage CCPS to adopt Henrico's concept of wellness days. I would prefer breaks, but if that is not an option, then we should be paid for the
Thank you,
increased time.
Mr. Starkweather.
Thank you.
Sean Streshley. Laura Abbott.
Hello, my name is Laura Abbott, and I am a CEA member and board member, and I am here to address the issue of changing the start time. I thank you for taking time to consider it. As Todd Starkweather said, we had 108 people submit comments in 24 hours, and most people felt really caught off guard and like they didn't well, nobody had ever actually heard anything about it, so definitely caught off guard. When we are talking about student achievement gaps, one of the things I think that you should really consider are smaller class sizes. Smaller class sizes would allow us as teachers to individualize instruction for our students. And also get to know our students and their families and their particular needs. Every family, every student is different. We all have our needs, and with smaller class sizes, we can figure out what students actually need. In addition to that, I would encourage you to re-examine the adoption of textbooks. The reading gap is huge. Students need textbooks so they can learn how to read, write, comprehend. You can't throw students into a classroom without a textbook. How are they going to read? It's been a huge problem since we got rid of them. All right, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and read more of the CEA comments. You won't get to hear all of them, but we will submit them to you so that you have them to take into consideration. Let's see. My only concern is the lack of transparency of this issue. I'm a teacher and a parent in CCPS, and I found out about this through Facebook. It wasn't a CCPS post. It seems to me that the school board is trying to sneak this by us, and if we could vote it down, or as if we could vote it down when we knew about it. Next comment. Times are not in compliance with medical professionals' recommendations. This will cause many adjustments to families' out-of-school schedules. This was not presented to any stakeholders prior to this meeting. Parents, teachers, administrators, staff, and students needed to be at the table when discussing this proposal. Suggestion, table this until the new board starts. Absurd that the current board is passing policies that will not be in place until after they are gone. So thank you for choosing to delay this. No, no, no. Middle school already starts at 7:10 a.m. and that is too early. Please keep in mind that because of soft parenting and cell phone addiction within American society, kids don't go to bed and stay asleep compared to many years ago. Kids are sleepy and not fully engaged until closer to second block, which is at 9:30 a.m. In all honesty, what in the world is 15 extra minutes going to accomplish? And at what point are we going to stop putting the blame for COVID learning losses on educators? Parental involvement is a lot more than just telling teachers what books they can read. It also involves reading with your child at home and reinforcing concepts taught in class. That is where the learning loss is. I am not in favor of this proposal. I do not agree with adding 15 minutes, more especially without additional pay. I have been in elementary special education for 16 years. We are teachers, counselors, therapists, behavioral specialists all together. We have so much on our plates, and it is and to add 15 minutes and not compensate us at our low pay. It
Thank
is
you,
just-
Ms. Abbott.
Thank you.
The next 5 speakers, Nate Ball, Carol Steele, John Chandler, Monica Vaughn, and Jerry Jones. May we have Nate Ball? Carol Steele?
Good evening, everyone. May it please the board, maybe some of you, may it please fellow parents, probably half of you. FDR stated that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, right? Some people think he said that about World War II, but he's actually talking about the Great Depression. He said this in his first inaugural address in 1932, and the fear itself line is actually part of a bigger thought. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. Unfortunately, we have people who are allowing fear to prevent progress. So for the school board members present tonight, I know you hear from far too many parents who are living in fear. And let's be honest, fear is a powerful motivator. But it's also a powerful motivator to revert to times less enlightened and regressive. So I'd like to thank the school board for listening to these fears and not allowing them to persuade your goal of truly taking care of all children. And I know it's tough, parents. In some ways, we're all afraid our children are growing up in what seems to be a topsy-turvy world. The Dolphins, Jaguars, and Lions are all leading their divisions right now. Proof positive. So for the school board, I do need to warn you and my fellow parents out here that about letting fear take hold, because Yoda famously said, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. While we have some parents who are fearful, we have others who have gotten themselves manipulated into anger and hate. So much so that they are targeting an already marginalized group of people, specifically trans children, who make up roughly 1% of the US student population. And the bravery it must take to marginalize, reject, and damage a child. These parents have created groups with vague, seemingly purposeless mission statements because, let's be honest, hate can be difficult to nail down into a concise, logical explanation. And some of these groups even say things like, protect the children, when in fact the real mission is the polar opposite of that. So please, my fellow parents and school board, don't fall for this line of hate. If you pay attention, you can tell that these groups are intellectually lazy, emotionally frail, and don't have any true agenda in protecting children. Only got 4 minutes. If this were the case, then surely they would be using their time, money, and energy to demand action in response to the #1 cause of death among school-aged children, guns, or attempting to demand action from their congregations, priests, and pastors to report sexual misconduct perpetuated against children, where it's still far more prevalent than drag shows. Or perhaps these hate groups would even like to use their convictions to protect children by supporting mental health funding in schools. But instead, we see many of these groups focusing solely on only 1% of our children. And that focus doesn't come in the form of understanding, empathy, generosity, or basic human kindness. A group of grown people willing to work against other adults and school children who are just trying to survive in the world, yet they're too scared to have meaningful conversations with their own children. Again, the bravery. So parents, do not allow your fear to hinder your children's growth. Do not allow it to hinder your growth. Try to turn your fear into empathy, into compassion. And on a practical side, try to determine who is trying to build that fear in you and why. Is it to serve you and your community and your school districts, or in some other, likely more sinister purpose? Because these same groups are the same sort of people who led the now debunked satanic panic in the 80s and 90s. They're the same people who used biblical values to prevent interracial marriages. These are the same people who tried to stir up fear of the devil's music, which included rock and roll, country and western swing, and even ragtime. So the good news is that by not even giving in to the fear, you will find yourselves on the right side of history. School board meeting sessions are recorded and many posted on the internet. So these kids, the grandkids, and so on and so forth will see all of this in posterity. So let's lead our kids into a more courageous society. Thank you.
Carol Steele.
Hello, my name is Carol Steele. Please listen. I'm going to take you back to your first day of school in elementary school. Remember the excitement before you went to bed. Your clothes are all set out for the morning, most likely a new outfit, new shoes. You wake up with excitement, you pop out of bed, you get dressed, and you enjoy a good breakfast. You're off to a good start. Your mom walks you to the bus stop, she watches you get on the bus, and she smiles as she waves goodbye to you. Your school day ends. Your mom is waiting for you at the bus stop. You get off the bus, the first words out of your mouth is, "Mom, I want to go to school on the weekends." Now, years pass. You have children in school. Your child goes to bed anxious about her first day of school. She gets up for breakfast. She has no drink. Why? She is worried about using the bathroom. Would a boy be in the girls' bathroom? What would he say or do to me? You see, there are stories looming around the school about what happens in the bathrooms. Your child continues her day, difficulty focusing on her work because she's mildly dehydrated from no liquids all day. The school day is over. Mom greets her at the bus stop. Her little girl looks tired from the stress of the day. Overwhelming. There was no excitement of learning, only anxiety about getting through the next day. The first story is a true story of my daughter's journey through the school system. She continued her education with advanced degrees, and today she is a lifetime learner. My question to all of you, what are you doing to our children? Why are you allowing this to happen to our children? It makes me wonder, what are you thinking? Maybe you're afraid if you do not comply with these upside-down rules, you'll lose your job. I personally have friends that slide into this category as far as a teacher is concerned. I'm wondering what might be thinking, well, maybe you won't get a raise if you don't comply. Governor Youngkin's policy requires students to use their assigned sex for bathrooms and school activities. His model policies put control of how students express gender identity back into the hands of the parents. By not complying to the model policy, you have stolen not only our child's safety, but the love of learning. It's not too late to turn back and to restore what is broken. You see, the model policy is really old-time policy, and it works. Thank you.
John Chandler.
It happens everywhere. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Chandler, and I'm a parent of a Betty Weaver Elementary School student. My wife and I have supported numerous schools with various resources throughout the county for over the past 15 years. Unfortunately, I do have to touch on something that's a bit morbid to hopefully help grab some attention. I have been to 2 funerals where a child's life was being celebrated, and that's too many. Unfortunately, nothing could be done in those cases with illnesses at hand, but witnessing those events are things I'll never forget. What I want to talk about is I'm not here to create any division. I want to talk about something that can be done to hopefully prevent something like this with things that can be addressed. If the county chooses to face some new unfortunate realities of our world and have hard conversations about making changes, even if it means drastic and maybe what some would describe as unpopular change in handling certain threats of violence at the county schools, and maybe that affects changes at the county leadership levels. Unfortunately, I'm referencing what has been described as a kill list that was found in my daughter's 5th grade class just 2 weeks ago. I'm hopeful that other boards besides Mrs. Haynes have heard about, other board members besides Mrs. Haynes have heard about this. Board Supervisor Mark Miller knows about this, and several other people at the county level do know about this. Community of the affected families is obviously talking about it, so I don't think it's anything that's going to go away quietly. There was an emergency meeting held at the Hull Street School building just last week, I believe November the 3rd, and as of today, procedures for the threat assessment that was implemented during the situation at Betty Weaver still have not been shared, and I think that that's inexcusable. At that meeting, certain officials did acknowledge gaps in communication and that there were needed areas of improvement. And while that is great to accept fault, people do make mistakes, it's been awfully quiet since about what's going to be done and when. There's been differences of timelines between when questions were asked of school leadership personnel and when things were addressed at the emergency meeting. They were contrary to what we heard at the school level. So we find that to be very frustrating. I do want to make it very well known that I'm not here to call out children that maybe, demonstrate certain behaviors that would maybe be alarming to certain people. This is about children. I want to help hold our leaders accountable, and I do want to stress that maybe some attention towards helping other kids that might have some troubles be something that the board considers and the county considers. I'm certainly not a teacher, but I am a concerned parent. This is an unfortunate opportunity to shine a light on a bad situation. Perhaps you could say it was fumbled, and there are still some families that are questioning what's going on and what's going to happen next. As administrators and elected officials, standing behind processes and studies will help in some instances. I am a small business owner, and I can relate to the train of thought of needing to know what's going to happen next. But in this instance, I truly believe that the county officials at all levels now share an unfortunate burden of having to address this, the good, the bad, the ugly, even if it means changes in roles and processes that we've been assured were followed. There are simply too many examples of violence on school campuses where unfortunately lives are lost, a lot of times kids, and warning signs were missed. Some would say nothing happened this time, but what about next time? I think that Chesterfield owes it to itself and its constituents to get in front of this and accept failures for what happened. And instead of dividing, let's bring people together and see if we can find a way to make some changes to have a safer world. Thank you.
Thank you. Monica Vaughn.
I'm wondering if I need a step stool. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, great, thank you. We thank all of you for serving on Chesterfield County School Boards. For those whose term has ended, we wish you well in your next chapter. And we congratulate those that have maintained a present seat on the board. And we welcome those who are serving for the first time beginning in January 2024. In the season of change, we come together in unity, prayer, and peace, and love for our children. We do not walk in your shoes, and we do not understand the inner workings of this board. We know the discussions are not always easy to hear, to understand, to change, or to make sense of the world we live in. The one thing we do agree on is this board is the lifeline to our children's education. We are grateful to the teachers' labor of love in the best of times and in the worst of times. For several weeks, parents have joined in prayer for our schools, teachers, administrators, principals, volunteers, all employees, and for this board. We've covered 64,000 children in prayer, and before joining you in this meeting today, we stood outside the grounds of this courthouse. A wise person said, the definition of insanity is to continue to do what you've always done and expect different results. Numerous concerned parents have come before this board time and time again. These parents have voiced their opinions, presented, and cited differences of the laws that have been violated, but no corrective action has taken place. In reality, today's world is an unlawful society that doesn't obey the rule of law and many times no consequences for the actions, for the laws that have been broken. The school system and the board has fallen victim to having a wishbone but no backbone to make changes, to follow through and preserve the law and protect the children. For example, parents have shared the violations of the bathroom policies, which were implemented into law by Governor Youngkin. In some of the schools, the results have been the teachers turning a blind eye to enforcing this law because there's no consequences for the student who violates the policy. A parent shared with me that there was one bathroom with only one toilet and a sink. However, when the boy and the girl walked out leaving the bathroom, the teacher noticed them, and she never said a word to the students or the principal. This is why I'm here to bring the attention that we need to enforce the Youngkin model policy. Chesterfield County Board members, I ask you to consider your legacy while serving on this board. Will it be based on not enforcing the model policy to protect children feeling safe and in a private use of a school bathroom and/or locker room? Or will your legacy be based on enforcing the model policy to restore dignity, morality, privacy, and safety to all students in Chesterfield County? We are counting on you, and we expect you to do what is best in our students' interest. Thank you, and God bless.
Jerry Jones.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Jones. I have 15 years of experience teaching in curriculum development for the Department of the Army at Fort Gregg Adams. I also have a third grader who's in Chesterfield County Schools. I stand before you here to address something that was brought up and discussed on both sides at the last school board, and that's banning books from the school library. And I want to talk about the profound impact that it has on the development of our students. And I'm going to talk to you from the perspective of being an adult educator and what it leads to. All right. Right now, we have a deficit in adults who do not have the ability to creative or critically think. All right. That's the end result of taking books out of libraries. Now, what do books provide? All right. It's insights into different cultures, perspective, ideas. Education is not about the transmission of facts alone. All right. It's more than that. It's the journey. All right. It's the stories that these books tell. Now, serving as critical tools for fostering empathy and understanding, books expose students to a diverse range of characters and experiences through insights into different cultures, perspectives, and ideas. All right. Notice I didn't say the words acceptance, agreeance, or conformance. All right. It is the parent's responsibility to help shape how their kid internalizes, all right, what they're exposed to in the books that they read in our school systems. Now, taking that a step further, all right, it's not my right nor any right of any other parent here to demand an unmitigated book banning of any book that contains ideas that scare them, all right, as we've heard earlier, all right. Let's let fear rule the day, see what happens, all right. Book banning certainly denies students the opportunity to engage in stories that challenge their preconceptions, encourages them to see the world from different angles. It not only restricts access to knowledge, right, with book banning, but it also stifles intellectual growth and critical thinking among our young minds. In today's world, I want my child, right, exposed to the facts, all right, that we as a people, all right, in this community are not homogenous, all right, but a diverse multicultural amalgamation of different perspectives. Right, that's key. We're not a homogenous society. We have no cultural identity that is singular in the United States. And that's coming from somebody who has a Russian wife, who's half German, but a US citizen. I grew up in the military system. I'm a product of the Dodge school system. I moved to Chesterfield, 2010, but I've lived in Virginia since, 1998, right? I went to Richard Bland College. I went to VCU, right? I joined the Army. I got out of the Army here. I stayed working here at Fort Greg Adams, all right? Now I'm gonna get back to this real quick. When my daughter deals with topics that she doesn't understand, all right, or anything that challenges her, even as a third grader, I want her to come to me. Let's have that conversation. That's the parent's right, to help shape that conversation in support of the teacher and the school system, all right? When we remove books from school libraries, we deprive students of the chance to develop their analytical and critical thinking abilities. The ability to evaluate risk, to promote a singular narrative, is limiting exposure to diverse voices. Creating a pathway to satisfy the fringe and frankly irrational sponsors of book censorship is a weak response to the issue at hand. At some point, all right, oppression and ignorance should not should not be allowed to win this battle. And I ask you one final question. If we were to allow this today, right, what will we allow tomorrow? Thank you.
Next 5 speakers are Dominique Chatters, Christine Melendez, Ann Tatus, Rob Hamill, and Edith Gallendorm. May we have Dominique Chatters?
Real close. Sorry. Good evening, Dominique Chatters, Dale District, mother of 4 children in Chesterfield County Schools, 2 at Manchester Middle School and 2 at Hopkins Road Elementary School. First, I wanted to talk about the start times, and I want to thank the board for requesting more courses of action before making a decision. After listening to the work session, I fully support your questions and the route that we're going, and I appreciate that. I would ask that we take a couple of things into consideration. Can we start by safeguarding lunches? Ms. Bailey already mentioned that. Teacher planning time. We already don't have enough teacher planning time, so if we can protect that, that would be awesome. And then the transportation concerns. We already have some late bus situations going on. It's not totally terrible, but we don't want it to get worse by adding more time to the day. The other thing I wanted to mention is All in Virginia. I understand that Governor Youngkin and the VDOE have pushed this All in Virginia on all schools, and I commend the staff for developing a plan to execute in less than 90 days. It was an amazing plan with the short notice they were given. However, I do think we can do better, and now after listening to the work session, I can hear that we have time to adjust the plan every year. So some things to consider. Digital tools, to me, are not tutoring tools, right? I would prefer that we start partnering back with the YMCA and get them back into our schools for after-school programs. Mathnasium used to be in our schools. Those types of programs were beneficial, right? And it didn't burden the teacher. One of the other things to consider is my children are very competitive, my 8th grader, my 7th grader. So that SOL passing score before, now for them to see that they're at risk with the passing score is demoralizing, right? They are taking advanced math in their middle school. I got an A student in math and a B+ student in math. Mommy, I don't have a problem in math. Why am I at risk? Not your doing. I understand that, and I hope everyone else understands that. The All in Virginia is not the idea of the school board. It is being pushed on you, and you're forced to react. I don't appreciate Governor Youngkin using our children to push his agenda. I don't appreciate it at all. All we're trying to do is recover learning, I get it. But we have to be honest and say that we had gaps in learning before COVID. We have to be honest and say we had issues with certain populations of children learning certain subjects before COVID. So all this, we're gonna get better with all this All in Virginia, is just a ploy by our governor, not on you. I support small groups. I support having smaller classrooms. I support having more schools built in my district so that we can limit overcrowding. I concur with the sentiments of the board when they were mentioning smaller classrooms and the parents that spoke earlier. Finally, I'd like to say I appreciate everything that this current board has done to be transparent. One of the things that we did not know before the work session is that some of the information being presented, once it gets posted to board docs, is the first time you see it. The first time the school board gets to see the proposals are when they're posted to board docs, which also happens to be the first time we get to see it. Little known fact that I didn't know. So the perception that you guys are conspiring behind our backs is not true. And I appreciate finding out that that's not true. I would encourage more sessions to listen to teachers, to listen to parents, if at all possible, before making a decision on the start times, because I think that'll be beneficial for everyone to be involved in the process. Thank you.
Christine Melendez.
Good evening, school board members and school division leaders. My name is Christine Melendez, and I'm the president of the Chesterfield Education Association. I thank you for your time, for having us speak to many of the things on the work session as well as the business session. I thank you for reconsidering the allotted time to school days and instructional hours. I do think it is a great decision to really have more robust conversations with stakeholders, with the school division, and see if there are ways to resolve this issue without having to add more time to our schedules, to our school bus drivers' schedules, to our teachers' schedules. Additionally, I do encourage this board and the board that is coming in January to revisit the language in Memo 162-23 that states each elementary classroom teacher shall be provided at least an average of 30 minutes per day during the student's school week as planning time. I think the elementary school teachers, unfortunately, are suffering a severe lack in this planning time as their schedules currently stand. And I do believe that that is something, if placed in policy, would greatly lessen the burden of other things occurring during that time. Additionally, I would love to encourage the employees of Chesterfield County Public Schools to understand that this, as well as any other policy changes that we are looking at in the school board agenda this evening, are absolutely positively possible contract issues if we had a collectively bargained contract here in Chesterfield County Schools. And so the Chesterfield Education is still continuing their pursuit of collective bargaining in Chesterfield counties. So what that currently looks like is Chesterfield Education Association is collecting signatures of Chesterfield County employees. They do not have to be CEA members, of people who are in support of a collective bargaining agreement that would then allow for us to negotiate contract language with the school board and school division leaders. As my other CEA members mentioned earlier, we did receive over 100 comments towards the school day length. And so I do want to honor these members and their submission of their comments by continuing to read what it is that they have submitted. The lengthening of the school day has no empirical evidence, which shows it to be beneficial in closing achievement gaps. This change would be merely cosmetic and would do little, if anything at all, to increase student learning. If we want to increase student achievement, there are many more productive ways which have hard science and research behind them to do so. Considering high schools have 4 blocks per day, what meaningful activity can students do in under 3 minutes? I'm sure if you ask the bigwigs, they would spew out a bunch of things with pedagogical buzzwords. However, those of us in the trenches would have a different answer: nothing. In the moment, an extra 15 minutes a day adds very little value, nor are students going to benefit longitudinally from an additional 3 minutes per class. What is apparent, however, is that this move will add the equivalent of an extra week's worth of responsibility onto a teacher's already full plates. The proposal does not take into consideration the value of teachers' time, efforts, and already strenuous workload, not to mention that it devalues our salaries. I already do not get paid for the many hours of work I do outside of contract hours, and this proposal wants me to work an extra week just because of a contractual technicality. And so I thank you for your time again, and thank you for the opportunity to share our members' thoughts. Have a good evening.
Ann Tatus.
It's been a couple months since I've been here, but since then, it's become apparent that as a Chesterfield County parent and a resident and taxpayer, that you are no longer filming my face when I come up here to speak. And so this is my face. This is new for the news cameras. Now they're filming us from behind. When I come up and speak to you, you need to see my face so that you can see who I'm talking to, so that you can see and that I am on record as a resident of this county for what I'm saying. I'm a conservative. Do not adopt Governor Youngkin's policy. You don't want to know why?
There was a specific bill that was passed by the General Assembly in the previous General Assembly and signed by the previous governor that made it very clear that when it came to the model policies for transgender children, the governor is to write model policies, and
No,
the
he
local
doesn't.
school boards are to adopt policies consistent with the model policy. It's a very different approach in what the constitutionally historical approach has been between state government and local government.
Okay, Glenn, there is no other way other than the constitutionally protected way that a state and a school board govern. That's like saying, oh, well, that's the Constitution. But that's exactly what he did right here on the new policy where it says schools shall keep parents informed about their children's well-being. It reads logically, United States Supreme Court that characterized parental rights, Truxell v. Granville. But then he adds in Virginia Code, except in circumstances where children prohibit contact where student is at imminent risk of suicide related to parental abuse and neglect. No, sir. For no Virginia code, no Virginia law can override United States Supreme Court constitutionally founded fundamental God-given natural rights, which is a parent's rights. Glenn, I will see you at the Supreme Court too. Glenn Youngkin, I will. Jason Miyares, every single one of them. Nobody is going to create. This is America, United States of America. We do things the American way, and I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a liberal, a Democrat, I don't care. I am an American, and we are going to do things the American way. Do you understand me? First of all, let me understand if you understand what parental rights are, okay? We have recognized on numerous occasions that the relationship between a parent and a child is constitutionally protected, Quilon v. Walcott. A child's corresponding right to protection from interference in that relationship derives from the psychic importance of him being raised by a loving and responsible, reliable adult. Franz v. U.S., 1983. The Due Process, 14th Amendment. Do you know that you are under Civil Rights Section 1983? That there's a 3-year statute of limitation. We can come. You can leave the board. We can come after you. Okay. This is Section 1983. One of the primary means by which a plaintiff may assert federal civil rights claims for damages against schools and school officials. Provides a conduit for asserting rights found in the Constitution and other federal statutes. Every person who, under the color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage of any state or territory of D.C. subjects cause to be subjected, any citizen who has their rights taken from them, this would be conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights, Civil Rights 1983, Section 1983. Every person, it includes you are personally liable for revoking the parental rights
Thank
due
you,
process
Ms. Tatus.
14th Amendment for the parents of 64,000 children.
Thank you, Ms.
And
Tatus.
it will not stop.
Rob Hamill.
Hello. Excuse me. Hello. My name is Rob Hamill. I am a teacher at O.B. Gates Elementary, and I am a member of the Chesterfield Education Association. I'm a board member, member at large for the Dale District. I'm going to continue to read some of the comments from our members. Lots of people said that they wanted to be compensated. They didn't want to be paid if we were going to work 15 minutes more. There were a lot of comments about that. There were also several comments about how this might not achieve some of the goals that were intended. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about, there were several really good comments here about kind of unintended consequences. So again, kind of honoring the contribution that these teachers and staff members made, I would like to continue to read a couple of these. So the additional time is not the solution to poor student test scores. Does the county want to check another hypothetical red tape box instead of voting on real solutions that work for everyone? CCPS had over 350 vacant, unfilled teacher and bus driver positions in Q1, a crisis that has increasing vacancies every year. The schedule is grossly disrespectful of what elementary students need: appropriate time to get home safely, to eat, rest, and socialize in extracurricular enrichment activities. The added time violates our rights for fair compensation as well. Educators already work beyond contract hours because of bus driver shortages. CCPS faculty will rally for negotiation rights. Some of the kids are asleep in class because they are here too late, working on intense open court curriculum that is beyond their skill level. All right, next comment. I understand the reason behind adding 15 minutes to the day, and I know that CCPS is close to being out of compliance in regards to the number of hours students spend in class. The surrounding counties have longer school days than Chesterfield. My main issue is that I would like to be adequately paid for my time. While surrounding counties have longer school days, teachers in the surrounding counties also make more money than we do in CCPS. If we are working longer hours, even if it is just 15 minutes a day, we should be compensated for that time. All right, next comment. First, my concern is for the students. Kids spend more hours getting from, to, and attending school than most adults do in their work days, and they have a shorter lunch to boot. They should be given time with their families and time to get to sports before it becomes dark outside. They're also expected to do homework after hours, leaving most kids the opportunity to have minimal free time. Kids need to have lives outside of school and should be allowed to be kids. Next, teachers already spend endless unpaid hours outside of work to make sure they meet the many deadlines put on us all by the higher-ups, not even including trying to plan our instruction to meet the needs of our students. It is disgraceful to say that teachers would not get paid for time spent working on the clock when any other profession out there would pay their employees. We already have a teacher shortage, and this is just going to keep people out of the profession or give them more reason to leave. At $30 an hour, which is low for people with the education teachers have, that is $1,387.50 per year that teachers would lose out on. After taxes, that equates to a teacher being able to pay a measly 1 month of health care for their family because of the inflated premiums that aren't covered by their districts. All right, next comment. I think the school board should take a closer look at the existing high school schedule to find ways to reallocate time. Perhaps consider getting rid of or truncating academic review periods called MAP at Midlothian High School, but called different things at different middle and high schools in the county, instead of adding 15 minutes. Absenteeism is already a significant issue in the county. Why exacerbate that issue by adding time to an already lengthy school day? And I'll just share one more. Adding 15 minutes per day is not a lot daily, but over a 5-day week, that's an extra hour and 15 minutes. Over the course of the school year, that's about an extra 50 or so hours. Are we going to be compensated for this extra time in some way? It doesn't seem right to add extra time, but not to compensate everyone for that time. Thank you all very much for allowing those teachers' voices to be heard.
Edith Galadorm.
Good evening. Let's all take a breath. You guys have been at this since 3:30 this afternoon, and I just want to acknowledge how much I appreciate you serving the community and allowing me time to speak. My name is Edith Gallendorm. I am the parent of a student in the Clover Hill District. I am here to voice my concerns regarding the proposed VDOE model policies that were released earlier this year. In 2020, the General Assembly directed the VDOE to create evidence-based best practices model policies regarding the treatment and inclusion of our transgender and non-binary students. This document was created by a wide variety of stakeholders, including students, psychiatrists, psychologists, and experts in that area of gender studies. And they were also cited and clearly listed in the document as references. In 2021, VA public schools were required by law to adopt these basic guidelines or come up with a more comprehensive plan by the end of 2021-22 school year. So here we are in 2023, less than 2 years into this plan, barely giving it a chance to make a difference. And there is a political urge to whiplash our schools, teachers, parents, and students with new policies that have been developed unilaterally without any clarity on who authored these policies. The now proposed policy has no clear evidence or references regarding transgender or non-binary students and is in opposition of the guidance by VHSL. This new policy is vague at best and violates federal anti-discrimination laws at worst. My personal pet peeve, having 2 very tall children, has always been the dress code. So in reviewing this policy, I went and saw section 22.1-22.3, treatment of transgender students, section A, item 7, where sex is defined as biological sex. This item states that enforcement of sex-based dress codes. Really? This is what we're thinking about. While other school districts across the country have developed gender-neutral dress codes, which in 1960 I might be kicked out of class because I'm wearing pants, there's a plan in Virginia that would strategically attack our students. And the last time I checked, clothing is an item. It's not anything to do with sex. Students, many of whom are already dealing with housing, food insecurities, unstable home life, find their stability in school among their peers. And if they are lucky, they find the support of a teacher that sees their potential academically without judgment of their appearance. Students' mental health suffers every time they worry.
Thank you, Ms. Gallagher.
That they will be outed. Thank you.
Next 5 speakers are Lisa Mansfield, Lindsay Daugherty, Laura Jones, John Coat-Pitts, and Ross Haynes. May we have Lisa Mansfield? Lindsay Daugherty.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Daugherty. I'm a mom to 2 kids, one at Edon Elementary and another at Elizabeth Davis Middle School in the Bermuda District. I'm here to speak on addressing learning loss in our students. We need the following, not only because they make sense for our students, teachers, and community, but because they are backed by data and are proven to improve learning outcomes. We need smaller class sizes. This is going to mean that we need additional brick and mortar buildings. They'll not only address the overcrowding issues that we face, but reduced class sizes will allow our teachers to do what they do best, which is to teach our students in the ways that they know how to learn. The second are textbooks. It was mentioned earlier. I am mom to a dyslexic child who just can't learn on electronic devices, and that is pretty much the only thing that he is given outside of copies of pieces of paper that are also very difficult to read. I know it is not a problem just for him, and so textbooks could go a really long way in solving a lot of the issues that a lot of our students face. The school board also needs to consider removing to reconsider removing schools that are currently on a year-round schedule to prevent learning loss. Studies and data firmly support the benefits that year-round schools provide, not only for historically underserved youth, but the benefits of year-round scheduling also positively impact all of their students. The next item is tutoring times and accessibility for families. And this is going to tie into my final point. My school that my son is in middle school, does provide tutoring right after school from 2:15 to 3:15. He lives in a household with 2 working parents outside of the home who work in Richmond. And so if transportation is not provided after tutoring is given, then my child can't access that. And I know that we're not the only family where that's a problem. And so we need to be looking at tutoring options that are currently provided by the county that actually fit into working families and therefore their students' schedules. And I know that that puts a greater burden on a lot of other people. But if kids that need it can't access it for a number of different reasons, then it doesn't matter, right? And so what are we doing? The final thing that I'd like to mention is just the school's proposal of high-intensity academic tutoring that was proposed. I did receive a letter for my son. I don't know if other parents that are in the audience received the letter, so I'm going to speak to some of the items that were in that. But it was brought to my attention today by my school board representative, Ms. Coker, that this was the only plan that CCPS submitted to VDOE, and that was pretty concerning to me because the bullet points in the letter specifically talk about reviewing, this tutoring coach will review my child's use of digital learning tools only. Will then address any digital tool use setup or child training needed for my child to successfully use the tools outside of school hours. Serve as a coach to encourage and monitor weekly my child's tool use. Notify me if the tool use, if he's not meeting the recommended hour usage of digital learning tools. Share with classroom teachers areas of persistent unfinished learning. And then at that point, connecting my child with an online tutor when learning mastery through these digital tools are not occurring. My child has already been identified as high risk. He was high risk in kindergarten, continued to be high risk because we had a really lackluster process through
Thank you, Ms. Lowry.
IEPs, and we need to improve all of the processes
Thank
and
you.
digital learning tools.
Laura Jones.
Good evening. My name is Laura Berge Jones. I'm a parent in the Midlothian District, and I'm here tonight because of my growing concern for the health, wellness, and safety of our students and families. All parents want to see our children happy and thriving, living up to their potential and pursuing their dreams. The heartbreaking reality is that anxiety, depression, self-harm, and death by suicide among teenagers are dramatically on the rise. According to the nonprofit organization Mental Health America, Virginia is one of the lowest ranking states, 48th in the country, in terms of youth who have higher rates of mental illness and lower rates of access to care. American youth, and clearly Virginia youth, are facing a mental health crisis. And while parents are doing our best, not every family can take work off to get their kids to see a therapist. Teachers are also doing their best. I've talked with teachers here in Chesterfield. We've heard from many of them tonight. I've talked with teachers in surrounding counties. I've talked with professors at VCU. And every single one of them, in addition to their intense classroom responsibilities, are all investing time in listening to their students' concerns and offering encouragement where they can. None of them feel equipped for the types of struggles their students are facing. Last week in Blacksburg, 2 days before her 18th birthday, a high school senior was shot and killed by her ex-boyfriend, who then took his own life. Looking back, parents and others said there were warning signs that mental health support was needed. This loss is tragic and devastating, and I cannot imagine the horror and grief for those two families and the entire Blacksburg community. I want to know, what is the school board doing to prevent incidents like this from happening in Chesterfield County? Investing in innovative and expanded school-based mental health services should be an integral part of the CCPS budget, staffing, and resource allocation. Kids today are facing unprecedented pressures, from what they're exposed to in the palms of their hands to what they're absorbing from all that's going on around them and in the wider world. All of our students deserve to have access to systems of care so that when they're feeling overwhelmed, they have support to work through the fears and emotions and stresses of life, to develop resilience rather than feeling hopelessly stuck or lashing out by harming themselves or others. I hope this board and the next one will make innovative and expanded mental health school-based services a priority in Chesterfield County. Doing so will benefit students and families, prevent tragedy,
Ms. Bergie-Jones.
and promote the safety and well-being of our entire community. Thank you.
John Quapix. Ross Haynes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ross Haynes. I'm an educator in Chesterfield County Public Schools for my 10th year this year. I came mostly to speak about Memo 162-23 because I was concerned about some of the knock-on effects that might occur from lengthening the school day by 15 minutes. I'll mention a couple of them here because I think they still might be relevant for some of the conversations you may have moving forward. First, and I guess the most related to student achievement, is that classes at the secondary level are already starting to strain even some of my best students. My classes on even and odd days are 95 minutes long. That would make them the 4th longest class that I've ever been a part of at any educational level. And I noticed that even when providing multiple breaks throughout the class period, it's a large struggle for students to manage to maintain attention on tasks through that entire time, especially as we get later in the day after 2 or 3 of those classes. In addition, younger students probably find that even more difficult, just because as you get older, you can spend more time focusing on a given task. It's a lot more difficult when you're a lot younger. And second thing that I wanted to bring up, I was just concerned about the assertion that this would be considered part of an extended workday. As it stands, I've spent about an hour and a half working outside of school today, on top of the time I spent during my full planning period. Tomorrow I'll have hall duty, so I won't have quite the full planning period. And this is a fairly normal occurrence. I won't say every week, but there are pretty frequent occasions where I work over 40 hours in a standard week just to keep up with the flow of grades. Having 130 plus students can be really difficult sometimes. So that's also kind of leaning into a class size discussion. I would love to see smaller classes. My high school classes were somewhere in the range of 20 students apiece. And while that doesn't seem like an incredibly small number, it is significantly smaller than the 26 to 27 that I'm seeing now. And so also, I wanted to speak as a member of the CEA board, just to mention a couple of these other comments that we'd collected. I disagree with this proposal due to the outside factors that affect schools, such as student sports, work for students, homebound for students not in school, and the effect of hunger in many students. There are large amounts of students that are at the bus stop 30 minutes or more before arriving at school, and even later getting home to eat since they last ate around 10 a.m. I know that 15 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but to a hungry child, that's an eternity. Next comment. Tier 1 would be too early for students to be at school. They're barely awake now as it is. Adding 3 minutes to each class period will not help with any learning loss concerns. If learning loss was really the motivator, then we would hold students more accountable for their learning. Grade floors for students are more concerned about the appearance of learning. And then I will leave one more, and then I will go ahead and step down. I've been working in the county in the middle school setting for 12 years, and I'm a CCBS parent of 2 elementary-age children. I strongly feel that asking teachers to lengthen their workday without any change in pay does not show appreciation for the amazing educators we have in our county. We're already in an educational crisis where many students have a long-term sub for a teacher because there's struggle to fill positions, which leads to exacerbating learning loss, not solving it. Veteran teachers who adore being in the classroom are leaving because they feel underfunded and underappreciated, and this could potentially make that worse. We should be doing everything we can to keep the teachers who have stayed through COVID, virtual learning, kids coming back with learning and behavioral deficits due to being home for so long, and numerous other factors. Ultimately, retaining teachers is the most important thing right now. Please spend time and energy on that, as having good, qualified teachers is the most important thing for our students in the long run. Thank you so much for your time.
The remaining 5 speakers we have are Tracy Franson, Shannon McCauley, Kevin Nelson, Robert Ebereth, and Mike Carabinos. May we have Tracy Franson.
Hi there, I am Tracy Franson. I'm a resident of the Matoaca District, and I am coming forward tonight to first of all thank you for your service, and also to comment on a concern that I have about lack of transparency and community input. We've seen tonight a lot of families and teachers concerned about an issue that they just found out about in board docs last week. There's another issue that we have not seen posted in board docs yet, but through the FOIA process we are aware of, that I think the community should be aware of as well, so that they can bring their concerns to you and have everybody bring full transparency for our community. This was probably not even mentioned to a lot of the members on the board, and until it's been mentioned as a campaign promise. But through the FOIA process, we've known that it's actually already in process. And what I'm speaking of is the proposal to increase school spending by $3.1 million initially to install school resource officers in all of our elementary schools. That money could be better spent on counselors, school psychologists, mental health supports. And also by talking about this plan with the community, you can get full community input to balance out where schools do want those resources, right? We heard from a high school teacher tonight who said that their high school does want a school resource officer. We have not heard that same concern from any elementary teachers. They are talking about mental health concerns. So bringing these proposals forward to see the light of day before they're acted on behind the curtain is very important for our strengthening the public schools for our entire community. And thank you again for your service, and everyone have a good evening.
Shannon McCauley. Kevin Nelson.
Good evening. Thank you very much, School Board, Attorney Roberts. I hope to make your job a little bit easier. I just want to thank you guys for all that you do. I thank you for the teachers that have helped my children. I've had 4 go through here, 2 boys, 2 girls. Want to give you just a brief little background besides having the 4 children. I was an Orange County Marshal. I was a child visitation monitor. I've helped out with child protective services. And I have helped out with social services with my own company, subcontracted for them. When I say that our country is having a rise in transgender issues, it is a major rise. Before 2014, there were no studies for girls in transgender transitioning periods, none whatsoever. With the guys, it's typically between 2 and 4 years of age before they start to say, oh, they wish they were the opposite sex, to be a girl. For myself, I have seen nieces, I've seen relatives, I have seen my daughter's best friend at Clover Hill decide to make a transition. It's a great honeymoon period for the first 5 years for the kids. But after that, it is downhill. It's suicidal. It's something where they have anxiety, that they struggle more than anything else to feel like they fit in. I offer a little bit different insight because I don't affirm their behavior, nor do I think the school district should ever affirm behavior like that because it is dysphoria. And it's labeled that by the American Psychological Association. It's labeled for a reason. For the gender dysphoria, there are many people that on the news they come across as if they have intelligence, they're doing a great job, and all they want to do is just be accepted. But when you find out more about Mia Thomas, or you find out more about others that have done that, you find out they do self-mutilation. They have a whole bunch of other things that they're into as well, which is not healthy for us. I have been over to Midlothian High School when we used to have a staff men's restroom, started to open up the door, and out walked one of the teachers who was transitioning. I can tell you, my heart sunk. My gut, I knew that I shouldn't go in there, and I knew why. Inside the bathroom was a stand-up urinal, and then there's a toilet that also is behind a partition. I would not have known who was back there unless I happened to see high heels or something. In this case, she was not wearing high heels, so I might not have even noticed. It would have put me in a very bad position, and I don't think we should do that to staff, teachers, or students. As I have examined many of the schools, I've noticed that the restrooms are one of the areas that are not monitored. It's just the truth. I came from a law enforcement background. I've talked to officers. They don't want to necessarily go into the restrooms. The guys are definitely not going to go into the girls' restrooms for obvious reasons, which should be common sense. But yet we have people today that think there's no difference between guys and girls, which is a sad mistake, because any of you parents know there's a big difference. If you've had guys or girls, you know that there's a huge difference between them. The Supreme Court Justice Jackson was asked the question, what is a woman? And yet she couldn't answer. A Supreme Court Justice, somebody that's supposed to be very smart. Biden said that I will only hire a black woman, and he chose Mrs. Jackson. Obviously,
Thank you, Mr.
Biden.
Nelson.
Thank you.
Mr. Eberth.
I would say that you saved the best for last, but that's not the case tonight, and I'm just kidding. He knows I am. So that's just a joke. All right, so here I am. I'm going to say I noticed the camera angles got wider, included my representative as well. I see that we took that suggestion. Maybe it was just a first move. I do not agree with it not being on my face, but we all know how I feel about that. But thank you for taking my suggestion and widening that camera. But I would like to advocate for changing that back to our faces. Second, with the agenda, I'm just going to speak of something that's on the agenda for once. Agenda, the policy 1092, dealing with the agenda organization, basically. What I would like to do is advocate for when public comment happens, the very next item that happens is you guys respond to the public. Because what happens to a lot of times is the citizens that speak leave, or it lasts so long they don't hear what you guys have to say after they have spoken. A lot of times they don't go on and watch it live. So I would say just add that item to where people don't feel disenfranchised or ignored, because that's a lot of the complaints that I get, and you guys know that. I sent you an email. And so if parents knew that if they stuck around or got your contact information, maybe that'll better your relationship with the public. Okay, flag display policy. I didn't see it on the agenda. I don't know where it went. If anybody wants to call a motion on that tonight, I'd be in favor of that. I'd be second, but I don't have that power. But I like to see, I see that it wasn't on the agenda. I also saw that the Youngkin policy wasn't on the agenda either, which I can only assume because of the 30-day review that it's most likely going to be next year, possibly reviewed next year. And I know a lot of people back here that support and are not in support of it, and I know that's a big topic item. And the only thing I can say is right now that I'm going to say, because it's such a huge item, I'm going to give you guys a break on it, is I do not support the policy at all. I do think that we need to start looking in, I know it's expensive, but we spend lots of millions of dollars. Another thing is retrofitting some of these schools to where we have separate bathrooms, period. Just like if you go to like a Wawa and they only have one stall, stuff like that. So you don't have to worry about something. Instead of having to opt out the straight children, having to go out to their separate bathrooms, almost like a segregation movement. So I would like to advocate for that. I know it's expensive, but maybe look into maybe some RFPs for that. As far as special needs kids, here we go. I left myself some time. So I've been doing a lot of review on some of the parents in Chesterfield. I've been doing a lot of review in the other counties as well. I'm trying to educate myself on what's going on with some of these localities that are spending $500,000 to $1 million to keep their child out of school for litigation issues. And the parent can't afford, and the locality knows that the parents can't afford that amount of money. So what do? They give up. Right? And so their kids no longer in school. And I know every situation is different. I'm not saying they're all the same. So I'm working with some legislators after this election on trying to figure out how to strengthen the special needs kids, strength and the parent strengths as well. So where they're not so railroaded with millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars of court fees, and they can't afford, some of them actually second mortgage their house. So we're going to look into that to figure out how to strengthen that law and figure out how to, hold certain localities. I'm not saying Chesterfield's always at fault. I'm just saying that certain localities will be there'll be some repercussions to some of the way that some of the parents are being treated and some of these special needs kids are being treated. And again, I know that there are separate instances. And so a couple of things I want to end on this. I will close on this because I'm going to continue this on the next meeting. There are a lot of things that I wanted to get done. The library procurement process, the flag display, the walkouts protest, and the student conduct, dress code for the employees, the rating system for the books, and the auto opt-in for the library receipts. Oh, and by the way, nobody is banning books. They're using policies in place and laws in place. So no one's banning books. They're just using the policies in place. And the school officials are the ones that are removing it, not the parents. So thank you. Robert Everett, Virginia Shown First.
Mike Carabinas.
Interesting fun fact, in the 1930s, there was a huge increase in left-handedness due to radical left-hand ideology. Oh no, that's when they stopped oppressing left-handed people. My mistake. I didn't come here tonight to find fancy words and lies to justify measures that would harm vulnerable kids. By now, we should know that what is right and wrong without the manufactured panics thought up in a think tank paid for by billionaires. A parent in Virginia Beach said that there is no right way to do the wrong thing. I can't be distracted with that tonight because I'm here about a safety issue. Friday night, my daughter was struck by a car on Village Square Parkway behind Cosby High School. There's not enough parking at Cosby High School to accommodate the student body. As a result, either there is not enough spaces for the students, or in the spaces that are available, you have to pay a fee to use. So students end up parking along Cosby Road and Village Square Parkway. My wife and I drove down those roads yesterday, counted 99 student cars during the school day parked along those two roads. And they don't have a choice. I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to park there. Our busing issue and the fact that our county is not walkable means that there's little other options for kids that are involved in after-school activities that are getting out after dark now. And it was after dark at 5:30 on Friday night, we got a panic phone call from my daughter's friend that she was just struck by a car. I spent Friday night in the emergency room with her. I've had to change wound dressings every day since then. Now, by some miracle, bumps and bruises, scrapes, a concussion, some road rash. Otherwise, she's okay. She's back at school this week. But a back road like that has no lights on it. I'd like this board and the next board to try to work with the Board of Supervisors to do something about the lights. I know that we're constrained by the property that we own, but there's a vacant lot right next to Cosby High School. There is an abandoned sport complex across the street from Cosby High School. Either one of those could provide more parking. I am sure that this problem is not isolated to Cosby High School, that other schools in this community have the same problem because they're overcrowded and underbuilt. And what spaces we have sometimes get taken up by mega trailers because we're overcrowded and underbuilt. So half this conversation is to you guys. The other half is to the current and the incoming Board of Supervisors. We need more schools, and we need to make sure that when we build those schools, we build them with safety of the students in mind, so that nobody has to get that phone call again and go through the week that I've had to go through. So, you know what, thank you.
Madam Chair, that concludes this evening's public comment.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we have this evening's Superintendent's Report. Dr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I'd like to share a video with the mission tomorrow. At this time, I'd like to invite Sean Smith up to present.
Madam Chairman, board members, as you know, as part of Superintendent's Report, each board meeting, we want to take the moment to talk about some exciting things that are happening in our school division. As we have a presentation coming after this, we want to showcase a video with regard to Mission Tomorrow, an exciting career exploration program that our students have access to.
Mission Tomorrow is an event that the Chamber RVA does across the entire Commonwealth of Virginia for all of the local school districts to come and bring our 8th grade students together to learn about different careers that they can explore while they're in middle school and high school to help them really affirm their career pathways.
They come and they can explore different career paths and opportunities that they never even would have thought of before. I've been seeing some things, walking around seeing such cool things like performing arts career pathways, computer design, all kinds of interesting things. There's people in back of me climbing up a telephone pole. Everything here is an interesting and exciting pathway for all of our kids.
A career cluster is a group that is associated with like healthcare sciences. So like anything that would be health science related would be in that cluster. So you're looking at things that would be in hospitals, doctor's office, dentist's office, medical assisting, billing and coding, all of that would fall under that cluster. So there are 17 in Virginia. We're actually kind of special in Virginia. Normally there are 16, but Virginia feels so passionate about energy, we opened a 17th career cluster. They do a great job of making sure that we have all 17 career clusters represented in Virginia so that students are getting a wide experience of all the different options that are out there and available to them. We really want to focus Mission Tomorrow on 8th grade students because in middle school, our students have career investigations. And that's a common course that all students take across the Commonwealth between 6th and 8th grade. And we really feel that Mission Tomorrow kind of brings that to a huge event for us to kind of celebrate what the students have been learning in those classes, to help them affirm what careers they want to look at in the future, and then help make them more informed and better choices about the courses they can take in high school that align to those career pathways.
They get to see and experience career pathways that they otherwise might not experience, right? So, I mean, they might not be able to see why a career in logistics is something that they might be interested in. But yet they come here, you know, they talk to a representative at the booth, or they get to experiment with some little manipulatives or something, and it's an exciting experience.
A lot of times students don't know the careers that are out there because we just don't have enough exposure. You hear healthcare and you only think hospital, where there are so many other jobs under the healthcare field. So we want this event to be an opportunity where they can come and learn about all the different career clusters that are out there and be exposed to what's aware to make those next choices about, now I want to go see it firsthand. I've gotten to experience it a little bit here, now I want to go do a tour. Now I want to go do a job shadow. This is really a building block for us to move forward in work-based learning to help kids have really tangible experiences on our continuum.
Thank you, Sean. Madam Chair, at this time, I'd like to bring up Chad Macklin for our College and Career Readiness Month and presentation. Welcome, Chad.
I see it. Thank you and congratulations. So we're going to start with the College and Career Readiness Month celebration. And as we always do, we start with you. And you're donned some special attire tonight. So let's go. And what brings your college and career passion tonight?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm wearing this because this is where my money's going, because my son is in his sophomore year at Old Dominion.
Well, anyone that knows me knows I bleed black and gold, and I'm a VCU Ram.
And I am representing career, so not only for construction, but also engineering as well.
I'm representing Virginia State just because of the partnerships that we have with our kids and with the community.
So I chose a 4-year path, and the first year I was Wake Forest because that's my school. Second year, I wore my dad's Army fatigues to represent the military. Third year, I wore auto mechanic because one of my kids might end up in that. And this year, I'm representing all the college kids out there, and specifically my eldest who went to VCU, so, Virginia schools.
And I typically forget to wear college gear on college and career night, but I went out, specifically bought the gold top. I graduated from VCU, very proudly, just not a swag person, but.
And I'm representing Northeastern University School of Law.
Very good. And so I'm donning Old Dominion University now. You never know what I'm going to come up with. Sometimes it's tool belts and whatnot. So I have a contractor's license in Commonwealth, Virginia, as well as a couple degrees in ODU. Happens to be one of them before they had a football team. So we're going to start tonight with celebrate what a great video that was on Mission Tomorrow, right? What a fantastic opportunity we have. But in tonight's presentation, we'll spend a minute looking at our career exploration activities, how we align with Imagine Tomorrow, what we're doing about college and career awareness across the year, and then what our outreach and open houses are in the very near future. So we're excited about this conversation. But what guides this is kind of this mantra here of how do we help? And when I say we, it's everybody. It's teachers, it's school counselors, it's everybody. How do we help kids? Because they can't be what they can't see. They only know what is in their near surrounding. And so things like Mission Tomorrow help broaden the students' perspective and awareness of what opportunities that they may be able to or connect with. Things like career investigation expose them to careers that otherwise they hadn't thought of or been exposed to, but a great opportunity for us to help students see themselves into their future. So we've got another short video that we're going to show here that showcases something that we'll talk about briefly.
I want to be an artist. I want to be a nurse. I want to be an archaeologist. I want to be an NFL football player. I want to be a NASA engineer. I want to be an artist when I grow up.
So work-based learning is a continuum of students learning what they've done in the classroom and then connecting it to real-world experiences out with their community partners. So in Chesterfield, work-based learning really is in a continuum across elementary, middle, and high school for us. But in Chesterfield, it looks a little bit differently because we are doing it at all 3 levels. We really want students to affirm their career pathways at an earlier age and understand what careers are out there and available to them. In Chesterfield, we have a motto that if a student wants to be whatever that is, a cosmetologist, an engineer, an accountant, we want them to have experience as that. And so we really try to create opportunities across all levels for students to experience it. It goes anywhere from guest speaking all the way up to youth registered apprenticeship. So it's a wide berth of information and experiences that we offer. And then really we're trying to do a model in Chesterfield where in elementary schools kids are exposed to it. So just having guest speakers, they're having career days, career fairs come in. And then in middle school we try to build on that. So it's a continuum of having different experiences. So I had that in elementary school. Now in middle school maybe I'm going to do a job shadow or go on a workplace tour so I can actually see what this looks like. And then in high school, we want kids to have really tangible experiences where they're going out and doing internships, clinicals, mentorships. So they've really built a pathway from elementary to high school so they can really affirm that this is, yes, it's what I want to do, or no, it's not, which is just as important so that our students can pivot and they've got the support of us to help them with that.
Having this internship has really helped me realize that this is what I want to do, because there was always the unsureness of it, but actually being able to be here and get more experience, it just makes me love it even more. I really enjoy just the hands-on aspects of the job. I've always just loved doing things with my hands. A lot of it is doing break jobs, but I do a little bit of everything. Whatever the guys are working on, I assist with.
These interns in here and having them actually see what we do hopefully boosts the interest in this industry. It's always good to have these younger folks coming into this industry for the technology that's coming out, on these vehicles. It's already here. And it's good for them to be here to see what we do.
It gives you good experience. I know in high school it's hard to find out what you want to do. So if you get an internship, you can get real world experience about your chosen career path or even what you want to do. And if you find out that you might not enjoy it as much, you can shift that. Or you can find out that you enjoy it a lot and you just want to continue down that path. Because I see a lot of zookeepers taking care of the animals, and I think I want to do that. I want to learn how to do that, and I want to do that in my future.
The benefit of having interns at the zoo has been staffing. We get staff that are eager and excited and want a unique opportunity, and they're excited to be here. And that's really beneficial because they're smiling and they're engaging and they're working hard. I think it's important for people in the Chesterfield community to partner with these high schools because it gives students the opportunity to find out what they do or don't enjoy. When I was coming through high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a teacher. This is not the life of a teacher. If I had this opportunity, maybe in a school system I would have seen that's not what I wanted, and it would have led me to a different path so that I could have planned college a little more accordingly. So this gives them those opportunities to see, is this what I like? Is this not what I like? Do I want to go to school for this? Or can I make this my job starting now?
So Chesterfield is really taking this model and branching it and pushing it out there. Last year we had over 11,000 work-based learning experiences in Chesterfield.
That's a little dated on that standpoint. That was a 2-year-old data point. We'll flip in. Here we go. Well, there's that. So it's hard to make that connection, but so true. I wanted to be and this isn't the life of us. So fantastic. So here's some just quick data points on here. We'll start with work-based learning. She referenced 11,000. It's actually 23,000 experiences we had last year in 1 year. That's not a cumulative number. That's boots on the ground, working and connecting with students and teachers to bring curriculums to life. Curriculums that maybe I'm in journalism and I want to be a journalist, right? So it's not just a CTE thing. I'm in chemistry and I want to be a chemist. They want to be, we want to help them have a connection as this. So the work-based learning model we're really working with, making great connections with students. You see our data point. It's fantastic what Calvin and his team do to move all 8th graders over a couple of days, and that's a monumental task as well. But then we're really proud of the last bullet point there for our student job fair over 2 years, the superintendent's initiative here. 513 students have received full-time jobs upon their graduation. And For our job fair, we require employers to be there with a full-time job starting at $35,000 a year with benefits. So there's a minimum that, so when we talk about you're hiring at a rate for an 18-year-old at that. And we have a lot of students with credentials that are earning those credentials. So these are the things that we're doing, and it starts in elementary school, and it's middle school, and it's high school, helping kids connect to whatever their career futures may be. The guide for this is clearly we have some goal one about embodying the infinite learner mindset and helping our students and our teachers see that, because that English teacher, helping them think they're no longer just an English teacher, they're a champion for careers in English and helping kids make those connections. Likewise, 1.3, our college and career ready for productive citizens, drives that. But as we celebrate College and Career Readiness month of November, we do this all year long, and this slide here kind of shows that it's not just one and done. We may celebrate it this month, but it's activities throughout the year. We just completed an incredibly successful combined college and career fair at Manchester High School a couple weeks ago. It was fantastic. We had over 1,500 students and parents come out, not just learning about opportunities at colleges, but also careers, and we have plans to expand that. But a great opportunity to show how we're working in college and career awareness every month. The school counseling office, the CT office as well. We do have an opportunity coming up. Our Opportunity Day at the Tech Center is this Thursday and Friday. We have over 2,200 students, sophomores, leaving the high schools and coming over and trying out a couple of the CTC programs. Then we open up Saturday for an open house for parents and families to come in. We also have an L information session in the morning where we'll have translators on site to help communicate with parents and students about opportunities as well. So that's just around the corner. In all, we work to help students find their career paths, their career futures, and make connections. And we're doing this CTE with the school counseling office and all of our teachers, elementary school, middle school, and high school, making connections for kids for the why and the where I'm going to go. So we really appreciate your continued support around helping kids find their career futures. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Board members, is there any discussion? I just want to share my son is in the culinary arts program in the CTE. This is his first year, and he is thoroughly loving it. So we're doing a great job.
Sorry, I tried to get it on, but you got to me first. But I just want to say thank you, Chad. And I told them this morning at my last CTE meeting that I'll be attending. I've been a part of it for 4 years, and I've truly appreciated all the work that you guys have done. I've been able to see it firsthand. 3 of my kids have gone through a CTE program, and it's very valuable. And no matter who fills these seats up here, it really is essential that we make sure that we are always trying to expand and support career technical education, because it is what employers are looking for now. It isn't necessarily just a college degree and we'll mold you into something else. I'll tell you that you're very valuable when you have those experiences and any certifications that you can have. So thank you for the work that you and your staff have provided for our children.
We hope you've enjoyed dinner tonight, prepared by the Tech Center students. You've got some cookies there to enjoy at home. We're not telling anybody how many cookies you got, but that's okay. So enjoy those. Thank you so much for your help and support.
Thank you very much. Next, we have action items. Mr. Meister.
Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Doherty, other members of the board, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you Memo 158-23. I had the opportunity in this afternoon's work session to share a little bit more detail through the presentation in front of you. I will remind you that in May we adopted an $890 million budget with a lot of unknowns relative to what the state was finally going to do. They had recently adopted a skinny budget, which was well below any of the previous iterations of the budget, whether it be the governor or the legislator. We made some educated guesses on where we expected the state budget to ultimately land. And lucky or good, I'm not sure. We came in right about on path with that for the traditional operating plan. As part of that budget, if you remember back in the spring, we proposed a budget and landed on a budget that offered our staff and teachers a 7% pay increase. The state budget at that time was 5% based on the governor's proposal. There were notes in the legislature that they wanted to move that to 7. We took a proactive step to move the pay to 7% at the start of this fiscal year in July. This recently passed budget did add in that extra 2%, but however, the state only is funding that starting in January. So it did create a little bit of a gap in the budget, but I'm happy to say that the board made the right call and provided staff and teachers that extra 2% at the beginning of this fiscal year. So kudos to that. The net state revenue impact of the budget is roughly neutral to what we had projected in that May timeframe. However, there has been an additional piece to that budget with which Dr. Pope talked a little bit about this afternoon. I talked a little bit about this afternoon, which is all-in funding and about $22.6 million dedicated to Chesterfield County to support literacy, absenteeism, and additional tutoring for our staff. You've heard many comments on that. Keep in mind that $22.6 million has a longer lifespan than just one fiscal year. We're thankful for that. Has a life out through fiscal year 2026. We put together a plan, you see it in here, to address those issues over that time period. The one piece of new information I brought to the board today was that the enrollment, after several years of growth, student growth of 1,000 or more, we've seen, at least this year, a slowing of growth. We're looking at roughly about 100 student growth per annum fall to fall numbers. We'll see where that lands when we finally get our March ADM, which is what we're ultimately going to be funded on. That reduced growth from what we expected does come with revenue consequences. It would reduce our revenue by about $6 million. I proposed some changes in this memo to lower our ongoing operating fund accordingly, largely with items that will not impact the ongoing school operations, things like lowering the expectation for inflation. We came out of a period where inflation was 7 to 10%. We're closer to 3%. That creates some saving opportunities. The timing of our debt service bills are a little bit different. That created some savings opportunities, and other changes like that really allow us to balance the budget here without any additional impact to the student and teachers in the district. And lastly, what we have for you today is summarized in this memo for your consideration. It winds up being about a $907 million operating budget when you consider that $22 million of all-in funding presented in memo 158-23, which also includes about $21,000 of an incremental revenue for ARGIS for your consideration, as well as the accompanying resolution to the Board of Supervisors. With that said, I open for questions or thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Meister. Board members, may I have a motion to approve Memo 158-23 as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Board members, is there any discussion?
I just have a comment that I think it was a lot more than just a lucky guess. I think you did a great job with preparing our budget, given that the state was really wonky. And no, good job.
My only question is this the latest we've ever approved at November? And please let us never happen again.
I don't have all the history, but I have to believe it is.
There has been a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call roll on the motion.
Dot Hepron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the memo is approved. Next, we have Memo 159-23, Mr. Davis. Mr. Thuma.
As you can tell, I'm not Mr. Davis. Unfortunate for you all. I'm here to, good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. D. I'm here tonight to discuss Board Memo 159-23. This is the new custodial contract. After a thorough review of the proposals that came in, the chair is looking at recommending 4 contractors. ABM will get 35 buildings. XL Services will get 17 buildings. Golden Gate will get 8 buildings. And we're adding a new contractor, HES, and they'll get 8 buildings. This will allow us greater diversity and hopefully allow us for more success. The total contract value of this contract annually will be $18,828,710. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Thuma. Board members, may I have a motion to approve memo number 159-23 as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Board members, is there any discussion?
I just have, just really quick, all the contractors, we have, besides for the new one, we have had experience with the first three that you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
And they've all done satisfactory work?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I do think, I'm sorry.
Ms. Bailey?
I think it's smart to divide up the contracts the way that you have, and in looking at your plan, even giving the new contractor a very small taste of the pie, so to prove their worth and make sure they do as good a job as the other three. I think it's very strategic and thoughtful. I think it garners probably the best success. I remember the days when it was one custodial contract, and if they were not good, you were stuck. So, very smart.
I guess I'll just mention, knowing where we've come from and where we are now, it'd be fun to put a slide up with our APA scores, 5 years ago and right now. Just need to acknowledge and commend you for the incredible work you've done with the whole department.
Our
Mr.
team works
Davis,
very hard.
everybody.
There has been a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call roll on the motion.
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Horner.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye, the memo is approved. Next, we have this evening's discussion agenda. Mr. Smith.
Madam Chairman, board members, Dr. Doherty, you have before you memorandum number 161-23. I would note again, the board did pull memorandum 162-23. Staff recommends revisions to current policies and regulations as follows. Revisions to policy 1092, revised, agenda preparation, dissemination, and order. That is simply to align your policy with the current flow of your agenda items. The second one is revisions to policy 2170, revised, internal audit function, duty to report fraud. Revision there to correct a reference point of a policy that no longer exists. Number 3, revisions to policy 3040-R, revised, uniform grading standards. That's to align with your current practice as distinguished in the parent handbook. Number 4, revisions to policy 5040, revised, equal employment opportunity and affirmative action plan. That is with regard to a reference point at the bottom of the policy. And the last two policies are changes that are required by federal law. Revisions to policy 5081, revised, lactation support, and revisions to policy 5230, revised, sick leave. Proposed changes have been reviewed by the school board attorney. Second reading and final school board adoption is scheduled for the next regular school board meeting. If approved, revisions to current policies and regulations will become effective immediately.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Board members, is there any discussion? All right. Next, we have items for board review. Madam Clerk, would you please read the items for this evening?
Madam Chair, tonight's agenda includes the following items for board's review. Number 1, Magisterial District Improvement Funds FY 2024. Number 2, FY 2024 September expenditures versus appropriations. Number 3, Budget Change Request Summary across categories September 2023. Number 4, Board Committee Reports. Number 5, Pre-K Update September 2023. Number 6, Draft 2024 School Board Meeting Calendar. Number 7, FY 2024 Financial Reports for the quarterly period ending September 30th, 2023. And number 8, FY 2025 Budget Calendar.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we have this evening's superintendent's remarks. Dr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, Michael, I am glad to hear your daughter's okay. I'm sorry to hear what happened. Even though we don't have any control of the roads, I'm going to direct Mr. Davis's team to get with the county, see what we can do with the lights out. And you're right, I drive on some of the roads, and that's just only that road, but a lot of roads around, which I'm just glad my headlights are good. but I'm glad to hear your daughter's okay, and we will jump on that immediately. So, just some clarifications, Madam Chair and Board. There was a discussion about SROs in our buildings, and it's not SROs, it's SROs in our elementary. That will be fully transparent when when I submit the budget in January. And then we do hold magisterial meetings in every magisterial district. And we have about 8 meetings about the budget. So this wasn't transparent yet because I haven't submitted the budget yet for 25. So we will do that, and everything that we put in the budget is transparent. So I don't know much more what we can do, but have meetings and make sure it's online every day of the year. A couple other things I'd like to just bring the board up on. The statement that was early in the day about Byrd High School, our team is looking at those statements, and we will give a board a clarification, and we will also come back, and I will give a clarification next month on that situation. The Betty Weaver, I know that was not mentioned, that our team is meeting, members of my team will be meeting with this parent within the week. That was already scheduled, just wasn't mentioned. We are investigating, there was a question about planning time for elementary. We do not want to be in violation of policy, and if we are, we will correct that. And the team has already been directed at the directors of elementary to investigate that immediately and get back, and we will report that out. I appreciate the concern about mental health report, and we have that great concern as well. We could have all the money in the world. There's no one out there to help. We've been thinking outside the box, but we will present in the near future, again, our help of giving counseling and mental health support to our students. We've already reported that several months ago. We will come out again. And just one more thing, and I appreciate the people that stayed. I really do. Thank you for hearing the rest of our business. A lot of people will come and then leave, and, well, shame on them. But this board takes a lot of heat on a lot of things, and tonight they took heat on something that I did. And I tell my staff all the time, when you screw up, when you make a mistake, you make sure you own it. And so I own the school day 15 minutes. That's on me. That's on me. It wasn't on the board, it was on me. And I will truly tell you, I said, well, it's 15 minutes, but we need to look at the timing, and the governor's going to get rid of waivers soon. We will go back to the drawing board. We will look at it. The team will look at it. We will do nothing without full transparency. But sometimes I blame the board on a lot of things. This one they don't get it. It's on me, and I have to model what I preach, and so I own this one. So to my staff, I apologize. To the board, I apologize, and to the teachers of this county, it was no disrespect to you at all. And I hope you know that, because I've been fighting for you since I've been here. Madam Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Daugherty, and thank you for addressing all the comments that we received during our public comment period, and thank you for your willingness to speak up. I appreciate that a lot. Next, we have announcements, communications, and school board comments. School board members, are there any announcement or comments this evening?
I just have a comment to Dr. D's comments, because there was one issue that people kept bringing up as well tonight, and it's about class size. We'd love to reduce class sizes. That'd be great, and everyone knows that would be the best educational practice. But we also know we have a tremendous deficit in teachers. I mean, we don't have a surplus of teachers. We can barely fill the positions that are there. To decrease class sizes takes more than just money, believe it or not. It takes actually certified bodies to fill those classrooms. So as much as we would love to say, yes, no one up here wants to make classes 30 kids, at large. That's just not what we want to do. But yes, that is something that would be wonderful. And then back to the extended day, 15 minutes, and the comments about us not being transparent. You heard what he just said, but even though Dr. D's owned this, whatever, he charged staff was trying to address a problem that the state says we do not meet seat time. And so he tasked his staff to come up with a plan so that we can make our seat time requirements so we don't get in trouble with the state. It's not a check, everybody says, oh, you're just trying to check the box. Well, yeah, but it's a box that kind of like has to be checked. It's not a opt in or opt out. You don't get a choice to meet seat time. You have to meet seat time requirements or our kiddos don't get credit for the courses they're taking. So it's not about the school system getting credit, it's about the child sitting in the course. He needs credit for the class, and if he doesn't meet the seat time, he's not going to get credit for the class. So it's on the school system to make sure that they receive the proper time that the state says they have to have in order to get credit. Now, what we did as a board is we just asked them to go back and look at maybe some other options to address meeting seat time besides extending the day 15 minutes. Just give us a array of solutions, and possibly one that isn't as bitter of a pill as the 15 minutes seems to have been. But I just would like the community to ask themselves this. We weren't voting on that tonight. So it was just something that was being kind of lobbed out there for discussion, and that's what happened. That's transparent. That's being transparent. We would be voting in December on this issue after a month of community discourse. So I get a little, my fur gets up a little bit when they say we're not being transparent. Well, I'm not real sure how much more transparent we can be than doing what we have just done. And in our work session, we had a great discussion, and we decided to go back to the drawing board and give us some more options. So those are just two other things I wanted to bring up. Thanks.
And just real quick, at some point though, even though they're gonna bring us new options, we will have to adopt one of them.
Yeah.
So if that means adjusting flex time, if that means adding days to the school year, we're gonna have to pick one of them. So, I'm sure there's gonna be some discussion once there's some more stuff presented to us. But, at the end of the day, it isn't gonna go away. We have to take one of these pills, and we just gotta pick which one we wanna take.
Ms. Efron?
Okay, that was a lot.
I just wanted to congratulate the Monacan girls on their come on, the Monacan girl, the competition cheer. They made it to state almost finals, but they got it in the finals. And last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I don't know. The last week has been a blur. But yes, congratulations to the Monacan competitive cheer team. Yes, it was a Monacan stuff.
Ms. Haynes?
Well, since we're all commenting, and since we have a new board listening, and so some of the behind the scenes stuff, maybe you got a little bit of that tonight from all of us. And so except Ms. Efron, she may be still thinking about it. So I'll add to that. And that one thing that I think we've all try to do is make sure that it's not just the voices in this room that are heard, but it's the voices of the entire county. And to speak on the Byrd High School issue, they're lucky that they had a community that rallied around the issue and made it public, and someone spoke tonight. I know for a fact that we have other high schools in the county that would like one full-time SRO that is always present and is not pulled away. So I think if we are pausing and trying to figure out Byrd, it's because we know that not every high school has somebody here to come and speak. And so other high schools might have camera issues, and we're always thinking about all of the high schools and we can't just respond to one because they were able to come. It doesn't take away from Byrd's needs. Absolutely has to figure that out, and also need to know if there are any other high schools that have SROs that are pulled away on other duties when they need to be present at that high school. And how do we support our sheriff and police department so that they are funded appropriately so that's possible?
I just want to do a similar shout out just as far as our boys volleyball team. Just good luck as they approach states. So hopefully Thomas Dale's volleyball team comes out victorious. And the football team is still moving forward as well, yes. All right, next we have the school board will hold a work session on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 at 4 p.m. here in the public meeting room. It will be followed by a business meeting at 6:30. If there's no further business, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Brian Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
And Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. The November 14th, 2023 school board business meeting is adjourned.